by their own admission, were in bad shape. The Montreal Maroons had folded because of lack of attendance, and there was even some thought, and banished that thought, that Montreal Canadiens might fold.
Joining the Canadiens in November of 1942, Richard scored 5 goals before his rookie season ended abruptly in his 16th game.
The first time I ever saw Maurice Richard play hockey, it was around Christmas time, 1942, and the Canadiens were playing the Boston Bruins. Later in that game, he got a terrific body check from a player named Johnny Crawford and broke his leg. So that was the end. Maurice Richard was a forgotten man. And he himself told me a couple of times he was surprised that he got invited back to the training camp in the following October. He thought, well, they're just going to forget about me. All I do is break my leg or my arm every time I play hockey.
But Richard had impressed coach Dick Irvin, and in 1943, he opened his second season with Montreal.
I joined the Canadian Army, and I was playing for the Army team in Ottawa, and they arranged an exhibition game between our team and the Montreal Canadiens in the Forum. Geez, the guy went around me a couple of times, you know, and afterwards we were reminiscing with my old coach. I said, who the hell was that guy that went around me? He said, that's the Rocket. I said, who the hell is the Rocket?
Well, we were playing a game in Montreal when Elmer Locke fed Richard the puck, and he took that, but he was going at high speed, and it was in the net before you knew it. I just said to the boy, you went in there like a rocket. And I guess Dink Carroll was standing behind me, who was the writer for the Gazette. And he wrote that the next day, and that's how the Rocket stuck to him.
When he was a rookie, they had 3 or 4 rookies on the team, so not all of them could play. So the first time that my father decided that Maurice would sit out the game, my dad said, you're not playing tonight. Richard, this young kid who barely knew my dad and vice versa, got the news, immediately turned, stormed out of the dressing room, slammed the door loud enough you think it was going to break, and left the building.
Irvin positioned Richard, a left-hand shot, on the right wing with veterans Elmer Locke and Toe Blake. Soon dubbed the Punchline, the trio proved to be Montreal's ticket to success.
They needed a closer, and that's what the Richard was for them. They were excellent skaters, wonderful puck handlers who would create confusion in the defense. The Rocket would come late, they'd give him the puck, and away he'd go toward the net. It was just a natural fit.
So you had Blake to get the puck. You had Locke to pass the puck. And you had this young kid shows up on the right wing who suddenly develops this remarkable knack of scoring goals. First season they played together, Richard had 32 goals.
Powered by the Punchline, Montreal won the regular season title with 38 victories, double that of the previous year. Then, with Richard scoring 12 goals in 9 playoff games, the Canadiens won their first Stanley Cup in 13 years.
Canadiens, who hadn't lost a home game all year, played Toronto in the first round of the playoffs and lost the first game at home ice, 3-1. What a shock this was, you know. Well, they proceeded to win the next 8 straight and win the Stanley Cup, but in Game 2 of that series with Toronto, final score was Montreal 5, Toronto 1, and Richard scored all 5 goals. The 3 stars were announced as Richard, Richard, and Richard.
In his third year, Richard exploded, eclipsing the single-season goal-scoring record of 44 by netting 50 in 50 games.
If you wanted to even consider yourself an offensive-minded player in the National Hockey League, you could strut around rather proudly having scored 15, 18, 20 goals. To score 50 in 50 games.
Nobody had ever scored that many goals, and since the Rockets' ascent to stardom happened so fast, it was breathtaking to see what he was doing. But it's very important to remember this all was done against wartime opposition. I mean, there were some pretty terrible goalies that he was shooting at. There was a guy playing for the Rangers named Steve Baczynski, who was arguably the worst goalie in the history of hockey, and his nickname proves it. His nickname was Steve Baczynski, the puck Gozinski.
42, 43, the hockey put in the red line. And they allowed, for the first time, they allowed passes over the defensive blue line. And who are you going to headman the puck coming through center ice to? But Richard, allowing the pass over the defensive blue line, did more to enhance the play of Richard than did the momentary depletion by World War II.
And I can remember there was people in the Toronto media calling him a wartime hockey player. And then about 10 years after the war ended and the Rockets scored 45 goals one year, I remember my father saying, well, it's a long war, eh?
Richard's landmark season was the first of 5 in which he would win the goal-scoring title.
He never shot in the same spot all the time. He will shoot one through your legs and on the ice and over your shoulder and the right shoulder, the left shoulder. He just had me guessing. I couldn't size him up at all. He'd always score. I'd go to church and light candles and everything else, and still didn't help me.
And you always had your eye on the right side, because he was a right winger with a left-hand shot. And oh boy, he got that puck and he just put his shoulder down and wheeled in the backhand. And he had a great backhand shot, I'll tell you. He always knew when he was on the ice. When he went off the ice, he went, phew, thank God he's gone off the ice.
Once he got in there was only one way he was going to go, and you'd have to shoot him or lasso him or something to stop him.
Earl Siebert was a defenseman, and Siebert was big for his time. He probably weighed over 200 pounds. He jumped on the Rocket's back as the Rocket took a pass at the blue line, and Richard kept skating with the puck.
And the Rocket made Deke the goaltender and pulled him out and threw it in as he's falling with Siebert on his back. You don't see that very often.
Siebert went back to the bench. He said, if any guy can carry me on his back from the blue line in, he deserves to score the goal.
After winning the Stanley Cup in 1946, Montreal repeatedly fell in the playoffs as Toronto and Detroit controlled the Cup for the next 6 seasons. But as he showed in the 1952 playoffs, it wasn't because the Rocket wasn't playing at full force.
Montreal-Boston semifinals, 7th game, winner take all.
It was a huge rivalry between the Bruins and the Canadiens. Just huge. And the Bruins had a forward named Leo Labine who was tough, and he was good.
So in the early part of the second period, Richard came down and he tried to cut through the Bruins' defense.
The Rocket was coming down, and he didn't see Labine, and Labine cross-checked him, and he knocked the Rocket unconscious. He was flat, out, looked like he was dead, and they told Dick Irvin, the coach, that he would not be able to play again.
And the third period starts, and there's still no Richard. And you have to assume he's gone, and here are the Canadiens trying to win this game without their star, and it's tied 1-1. And then late in the third period, who shows up on the Montreal bench but the Rocket?
Somehow, when Morris came back and the face-off was in the Montreal end, he got control of the puck deep in his own end, and he went from one end to the other, all up the right boards. He was playing against one Hall of Fame defenseman in Bill Quackenbush and Bob Armstrong, and they were on defense for Boston. And Quackenbush pushed him right into the corner.
But somehow, with this absolute fierce drive, he circled around Quackenbush, even though he was fenced into the corner, circled around, came out in front of the crease, and jammed the puck past Sugar Jim Henry, who was the goalie.
And how Morris got around him, behind him, and came out in front and moved Armstrong out of the way, I'll never know.
And of course, the goal won the game and the series. And after the game, the Rocket and Henry, who was also battered himself, was wearing bandages. He himself had been through hell. They shook hands at center ice. And if you ever want to see a picture of two warriors at the end of a game, nothing says it more.
You script that for Hollywood and they say, it's phony, but that's exactly what happened. Knocked out, comes back, scores the winning goal. That was him. That was him.
I've always loved working on computers, and in the Army, that's what I do.
If you never thought about the U.S. Army or Army Reserve, think about this. There are 212 ways for you to become a soldier and work at a job you'll love. Call 1-800-959-ARMY for this free video to find out which job is right for you and discover the 212 ways you can be an Army of One.
I love what I do.
Are you blowing your summer, waiting for the fun to start? Then cool it with the instant cool of the new Family Quick Pool. The only portable pool that inflates effortlessly in just 3 minutes. From Aero, the makers of the Aero Bed. Get the only pool big enough for the whole family that sets up in less than 3 minutes, thanks to the powerful hands-free pump, only from Arrow. It's lightweight, completely rechargeable, and holds up to 3 inflations on a single charge. The family quick pool blows other portable pools away in just 3 minutes and deflates in under 1 minute with the patented quick release valve. It even rolls up for easy storage, so you'll never have to leave your pool up overnight again. No more dead grass, no more dirty water, just clean fun where and when you want it. The Family Quick Pool is built from durable, heavy-gauge vinyl with electronically welded seams, featuring 8 drink holders to keep your favorite drink handy. The Family Quick Pool is perfect for barbecues, pool parties, or just cooling off in your backyard. Never sweat blowing up another pool again. Call now to order the Arrow Family Quick Pool for the incredibly low price of just 3 easy payments of only $43.99. But wait, if you call now, we'll supersize your pool to a bigger 350-gallon Family Quick Pool absolutely free. It would take up to 5 other blow-up pools to stack up to this super cool pool full of fun. So don't blow it. Cool it with your new Family Quick Pool from Arrow. And ask your operator how you can get a cool new custom-fit pool cover to keep your Family Quick Pool in the swim. But hurry before these hot summer deals blow away. For rush delivery, use your credit card and call the toll-free number on your screen. Want to pay by check? Have your checkbook ready and use it just like a credit card. Or send check or money order for $131.97 plus $19.99 shipping and handling to the address on your screen. And be sure to ask your operator how to get the new Family Quick Pool cover. Call now.
Beauty, adventure, drama. All these and more can be yours in the wonderful world of art. And with this free art test from Art Instruction Schools, you can find out if you have the interest and desire needed to become a serious art student. To get your free art test without cost or obligation, call this toll-free number. Don't delay. Call this toll-free number now. Call 1-800-754-0077.
The ESPN Classic Roadshow is live with Classic Chicago. It's an evening of classic Windy City sports and Chi-Town legends. From his airness and the Bulls to sweetness and the Bears. Don't forget Slammin' Sammy and the Cubs.
The Cubs have won it, and they will go to the postseason.
And much more of the best sports in Chicago history. The Classic Chicago Roadshow, Monday, June 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, only on ESPN Classic. Brought to you locally by AT&T Broadband.
As Richard's legend grew, his profile as one of the NHL's arch intimidators gathered layers of mythology.
William Faulkner, the great American novelist, at one point was asked by Sports Illustrated to write a piece about Richard. William Faulkner wrote that Richard's eyes had the fatal quality of snakes.
He had this habit of glaring at people. And it was almost like sunlight focused through a magnifying glass. It almost burned holes in you.
He had a great deal of difficulty controlling his temper. He was so intense, winning was so important, and he'd get himself worked up to the point where he would snap a little bit.
He was one of the best fighters that the game of hockey ever saw. He's the best one-punch fighter I've ever seen in life. He knocked guys out. Right, left, and center. I mean, I don't mean just knock them down. He knocked them out. And, you know, they went after him big time. My father always said Rock had to fight his way through the league.
The Rangers had a defenseman named Bob Dill. Killer Dill was his nickname, and he had been a Golden Gloves boxer. In that particular game against the Rangers, Bob Dill challenged the Rocket to a fight in the penalty box. The Rocket knocked him out. That was in the first period. In the third period, Dill thought it might be a little bit different, so he challenged the Rocket again. They both wound up in the box for high sticking, and the Rocket knocked him out again. 2 KOs of a guy who had been a Golden Gloves champ. Not bad.
Dick Irvin, coaching Morris, felt that the way to get the most out of Morris was to keep him boiling. Dick used to say to him when he'd come off the bench, "Don't let those guys do that to you." Well, Morris would get steamed up and he'd go at the next shift and he'd take a whack at somebody.
I know Sid Abel, the great Detroit center, talks about the Rocket having a battle with Howe and then a battle with Lindsay, and the Rocket had not done too well in them because those were tough guys.
There's somebody on my back, and I remember leaning on one knee and this little head come out underneath just a little farther, and I bopped him a good one.
Rocket slipped and went down, and he happened to come up right beside Boot Nose, Sid Abel. Boot Nose, he had his nose broken, so often they call him Boot Nose. So he couldn't help but say, you know, what's the matter, Rocket? You finally met your match or something? Whoa. He hit Boot Nose, he broke Boot Nose's nose again.
What you saw was how he was. He couldn't contain his emotions. He wore the CH, but he also wore his emotions out there. And I think that's what made him so very attractive to so many people, because you could see the man behind the player, and it was all rolled into one. And that's awfully attractive in any era.
Richard's rage to win sometimes spilled over into his family life.
I would say he was the same man on ice as he was in real life. But when he got mad, we knew what we had to do. Sit down and be quiet. He was somebody with a very hot temper, even off the ice.
The single calming influence on Richard was his wife, Lucille, who faithfully watched home games from her seat in the Forum.
It must have been tough for her to fulfill all the commitments that it took to be the Rockets' wife, and I'm sure he wasn't easy to live with either. With having a temperament like that and having the strong desire that he must have had times at home that he would have been difficult to live with, especially when things weren't going the way he considered they should be.
After the Canadiens lost to the Red Wings without the suspended Richard in the 1955 Stanley Cup Finals, Dick Irvin was replaced as coach by Toe Blake. The change signaled the beginning of the NHL's greatest dynasty.
There are special songs for special times. This is A Time for Love, a new 34-song collection of soft rock hits from TV music for you.
I'm so lost without you. I'm never gonna let you go. I'm gonna hold you in my arms forever. Ooh, baby,
Precious and beautiful. You'll enjoy this 2-album treasury of great love songs. Plus, order now with your credit card and get a free bonus album.
Wherever you go, whatever you do, I will be right here waiting for you. Think of Laura, left don't cry. I know she wanted that way. You read my mind, you know you did. I wanna shake you down. Oh, baby, can we try just a little bit harder? Can we give just a little bit more? Suddenly, life has new meaning to me. Secret lovers, yeah, that's what we are. 'Cause I am in love, living inside myself. Some people are made for each other.
A Time for Love on 2 cassettes or 2 CDs. And remember, use your credit card and receive a free bonus album. Here's how to order. Call toll-free now to order A Time for Love. Cassettes $19.98, CDs $26.98, plus $5.50 for shipping. Have your credit card ready and call now.
Hey, Ray, can you believe that they got Marcus Camby to do the commercial for ESPN the magazine and not me and you?
I don't know, Chris, but, you know, Marcus was pretty good. So we've been perfect for this part.
I know, especially we both subscribers to ESPN the magazine, and we both got the free fleece jacket.
Call now for ESPN the magazine. Just $1 an issue, and the fleece pullover is free.
You know, Chris, we need to work on this paddle yo-yo thing. I think that's what ESPN the magazine wants.
Yeah, you're probably right, Ray.
Call now.
Feeling was that Blake would be able to control the Rocket, to mellow him just enough to enable him to become less crazy but more productive. And it worked.
Richard's spirits improved further when his younger brother became his teammate.
The Rocket was getting up there in years, but a miracle happened. They open up training camp in September 1955, and there's this little skinny kid who looked like he should have been the stick boy, and his name was Henri Richard. So it looked like the kid was there for a laugh. Every game in the scrimmages and the exhibitions, there was one major problem. Henri Richard was the best player on the ice.
They were going to send Henry back to junior. I've read this dozens of times, and he was so good at training camp. He was the best guy, and he said, I'm going to make this team, and at 19, he made it.
So you had Henri playing with his much older brother, and this was just a tonic for the Rocket.
The Richard brothers together was like dynamite in a match. Tremendous combination. And if you look over history at the great combos of all time, Adam Oates, Brett Hull, Wayne Gretzky, Yari Curry, you could put right up at the top of that list Maurice and Henri Richard.
The Brother Act produced 57 goals and 54 assists in 1956 as the Canadiens won the first of 5 consecutive Stanley Cups.
The Canadiens teams from 55 to 60, probably as good as any group that has ever been put together.
There was nobody as good as Jacques Plante. So number one, we had the best goaltender in the world ever. Number two, we had the best defenseman in the world ever, in Doug Harvey. Number three, we had the best center iceman in the world in Jean Beliveau. A lot of teams may have 1 or 2 superstars, but we had 6 or 7.
Over 5 seasons, the Canadiens won 4 regular season titles and 10 straight playoff series. But in the midst of his team's glorious run, Richard's star had already begun to dim.
He had been very badly injured during the latter part of the dynasty. A player named Marc Rayum of the Maple Leafs, a defenseman, had collided with him, and Rayum's skate sliced through the Rocket's tendon. It was a miracle that he was able to come back and play. It was a terrible injury, terrible. And the injury, coupled with his age, really militated against anything like the Rocket we had seen before.
After Montreal won the Stanley Cup in 1960, Richard was the subject of retirement rumors.
My pop said to him, look, do you want to play? We want you to play. But you got to do a couple things. You got to get yourself in shape, and you got to stay in shape. Because the last thing that I will allow you to do is to play here fat, overweight, out of shape, and have the people boo you. And I think Morris made the decision right then and there that I can't lose the kind of weight that I have to lose to do this.
The time had come. They won the Cup, and it was the absolute perfect time for a hockey player, a great player, to retire.
The last 2 years have been very tough. I was overweight, first of all. I had 4, 5, sometimes 6 pound overweight, and it was hard for me to follow the other guys.
After an unsatisfying stint as a glad-hander for the team's public relations department, Richard went to work for team president David Molson. The Rocket expected to be involved in hockey decisions.
He was the assistant to a guy who didn't give him anything to do. So he picked up his hat and said, enough of this, and left.
After 23 years with the Canadiens, Richard went from star athlete to small businessman.
In the 60s and into the 70s, he had an operation in his basement where he would literally spool crank the fishing line onto reels and package these and send them off like a mail order business.
The picture can be painted as somewhat sad of this man sitting in his basement at an old plywood table winding, spools of thread like a doty ant or something and selling them. But said he was quite happy. It got him fishing a lot.
In the late 60s, Richard found new life when a group of retired NHL players formed a team and competed for charity.
It's too bad the public couldn't have seen him. Like when we barnstormed across the country, we had our own bus, And if you could have seen Rocket relax and enjoy just with his own gang in the bus, just with the team, and the kibitzing is going on, and the tears running down his cheeks from laughing, the people wouldn't believe what I saw.
The thing that was tough for him was that everywhere he went, even 5, 6, 7 years after, people expected him to, you know, to score 3, 4, 5 goals every game. He was not capable all the time to do that, and he felt bad.
He played with such desire that he almost had a heart attack on the ice, and he got dizzy spells. And the doctors told him that, you know, he was just a little old to be playing. He was 50 or 60, 56 or 60 years old at the time. He was a guy that couldn't be away from the game.
In 1972, Richard tried coaching the Quebec Nordiques of the World Hockey Association. But his incendiary temper and introverted personality were not meant for the bench. He quit after 2 games.
Hey guys, listen up. Do you want a competitive edge in the gym, at work, even in the bedroom? Want to look and feel great every day? Then you've got to know about Men's Health. It's packed with information that can change your life. Workout tips that burn away that belly and build loads of muscle. Stress-busting techniques that put you back in charge of your life. And wait until you see what it does for your love life. With Men's Health, she'll forget every other man she's ever met. Let's go to Chicago. Lori?
Matt, the response is incredible. Women say men who read Men's Health know secrets about driving them wild other guys don't. This is the one magazine that tells you the 3 phrases that'll turn any woman on. The 5 secret fantasies she'll never confess. And the 1 move proven to maximize pleasure for both of you. And right now, Men's Health is making an unbelievable offer. Get a free trial issue plus 3 guidebooks free. Power Nutrition, Amazing Abs Made Easy, and Drive Women Wild.
Look, guys, no matter how busy your day is, you've got to take just a few seconds to call this 800 number. Get career strategies for landing that promotion, power-packed meals that take just minutes to whip up, and workouts that help you build muscle fast. Plus, act now, and you'll not only get a free trial issue of Men's Health, you'll also get these 3 terrific guidebooks: Power Nutrition, Drive Women Wild, and Amazing Abs Made Easy. Think about it. Amazing Abs Made Easy. Let's go to Los Angeles. Kim?
Matt, building the perfect body has never been easier. Each issue of Men's Health is packed with simple, easy-to-follow fitness programs that can pack on muscle and burn away fat in just minutes a day. Here, finally, is the chance to build a strong, hard body you've always wanted. And it's all just a phone call away. Back to you, Matt.
Guys, you can't afford to miss out on Men's Health. Call now for your free trial issue. Continue and get a year's worth of sex tips, workout tricks, and nutrition secrets, plus 3 fabulous guidebooks free. Call now. Men's Health. Hey, this is tons of useful stuff.
It's here. Inside is unlimited strength and power. This is Bowflex, an entire gym in one easy-to-use machine. So powerful, it delivers over 60 health club quality exercises with up to 410 pounds of resistance, all in the convenience of your own home. For a free video and brochure, call or go online at bowflexdirect.com. Bowflex. Who said change isn't easy?
Excellence has only one name, Tiger.
I believe the phrase is, I am Tiger Woods.
Sunday, June 10th, a full day of classic Tiger. And it's only on ESPN Classic. From his glory days as an amateur.
3 straight U.S. Amateur Championships for Tiger Woods.
Through his record-breaking Grand Slam victory in 2000.
Does it get any better than this, guys?
A full day of classic Tiger, and it's right here on ESPN Classic. It all starts Sunday, June 10th at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific.
When Sports Century returns, Maurice Richard returns to the Canadiens' fold and bids farewell to the ice on which much of his legend was written.
And it went on and on and on. And Rocket, a man of great emotions, couldn't contain his emotions. It was an amazing evening because I think this was people's way of saying goodbye.
Best crackers in the world can do this in 60 minutes. I need someone who can do it in 60 seconds. Go!
This summer, you can run, you can drive, you can fly.
This is now an aerial pursuit.
Because on June 8th, one word will get you where you need to go. From the producer of The Matrix.
Oh, yeah.
Swordfish, rated R, starts Friday, June 8th at a theater near you.
the great places of South Dakota.
Call for your free vacation guide.
From the pride of the plains to our black hills, the spirit of freedom lives here still. Great places, South Dakota.
Premiering June 1st, Blockbuster Ticket only on DirecTV. The best selection of pay-per-view movies is right at your fingertips. Just tune to the 100s and order with your remote. With so many choices, it's the place where movie lovers go first. Blockbuster Ticket, only on DirecTV. Let the movies come to you.
In Peabody award-winning sports century, the Top 50 and Beyond has done it again. A second Emmy win for the series critics call. Arguably the most comprehensive sports documentaries ever pieced together. You know what made them heroes.
You just never messed with Rocky Marciano.
We show you what made them human.
He drank. He chased girls.
You'll only see the award-winning sports century on ESPN Classic. Every weeknight at 8 Eastern and Pacific.
Two eager CEOs. One encouraged his employees to read the Wall Street Journal. The other did not. Let's join them for their 5-year anniversaries and see what happened. Imagine what the Journal could do for you. It's now easier to get the Journal to help you. Get 8 weeks of the Wall Street Journal for just 38 cents a day. That's 50% off the regular rate. Call 800-443-1900. That's 800-443-1900. For the Wall Street Journal.
We all combed our hair like Maurice Richard, and we use a kind of hair glue to keep it in place. We laced our skates like Maurice Richard. We taped our sticks like Maurice Richard. We cut his picture out of all the newspaper, and we knew everything there was to know about Maurice Richard.
There was something very earthy about him that appealed to people in Montreal. They sensed he was one of them, perhaps like no other player before and no other player since.
When it comes to feeling young, a lot of it's up here.
3 years ago, Maurice Richard said goodbye gray hair, hello Grecian Formula 16.
Everybody in Quebec who didn't see Rocket play saw him make a commercial for Grecian Formula where a referee skates by and say,
Hey, Richard, 2 minutes for looking so good.
At that point, Rocket Richard was an avuncular figure. He was everybody's uncle in the province. And that made no sense to me because throughout his playing days, there was nothing avuncular about Rocket Richard. There were things that were combative, compelling, but somehow he managed to morph into everybody's family friend.
In 1994, Richard lost the best friend he ever had. His wife, Lucille, succumbed to cancer shortly after their 51st wedding anniversary.
She was everything to him in his life. He never had to do a thing at home. She did everything for him, and that was a big shock to him when it happened.
When we lost our mother, I never saw somebody cry like my father did. He was very, 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 very sad and very sorry, and he had a hard time coming out of it. And it's a good thing he met someone else a few months later because I don't think he could have lived alone.
By the 1990s, the Canadiens had new owners, and they welcomed back the Rocket, hiring him as a goodwill ambassador. On March 11th, 1996, Richard felt the love of millions when the Canadiens played their final game in the Forum.
Almost all of the living Hall of Famers who ever played for the Montreal Canadiens come out onto the ice. And the last person to be introduced was naturally going to be Maurice.
La plus grande légende de l'histoire du hockey, le numéro 9, Maurice Rocket Richard.
It brought tears to my eyes when the Rocket was introduced. He started to cry, so everybody else around him started to cry. And It was just an ovation that you'll never hear again.
It was almost a 10-minute ovation. It just simply would not stop, even though he raised his hands and tried to stop it. And it was just, it was an amazing moment.
There they were applauding him and thanking him and making him feel a little uncomfortable out there, but it was well-deserved. He's the one who really, he saved the building and he saved the franchise for them. And as the ovation continued on and on, I stood there and I looked around the building and I thought to myself, 75%, 85% of the people in this building tonight never saw him play. They never saw him score a goal even on television. He hadn't scored a goal in 37 years. And the fact that he was being received this way, people were crying.
A year later, it was revealed that Richard was battling stomach cancer.
He knew at that time that he was very sick, but he didn't want people to know it. He didn't want to show it. He was fighting all the time.
Well, when he first came down with the cancer, I know I made the statement saying, he'll beat it, because he's such a competitor.
The last hour in his bed, actually, he was trying to get out of the bed. We had to hold him down. He would say, I want to go back home. And he was still strong. That was a few hours before he died.
3 days after his death on May 27, 2000, his body lay in state at the Molson Center as a stream of humanity, more than 100,000 strong, flowed slowly past his coffin.
The thing that did strike me the most is the people. It's the emotion, the respect, the love.
On May 31st, Maurice Rocket Richard was laid to rest after a state funeral.
When the Cardinal finished his eulogy, the crowd stood up and applauded. I've been in a lot of churches in my lifetime, and I've been to a lot of funerals, and I've never, ever experienced anything like this.
He was right up there with the Pope. He was the top man, and they just adored him.
Well, Morris will always be Morris as far as I'm concerned. Anybody that saw him will never forget him, and those who didn't see him don't know what they missed.
I've known athletes all over the world. Nobody had the desire and determination of Rocket Richard, and 100 years from now, the kids will be reading about it in their history books.
The Rocket was Babe Ruth on skates. When the Rocket got the puck, it was like everybody in the arena just got 5 shots of adrenaline. There was never a player as focused, as forceful, and as gifted in what he did, which was scoring goals.
I have to go back to his special skills of scoring goals in the clutch, 50 and 50, the 500 goals. Those are the things that people will remember that he did first.
What he symbolized to the French-Canadian people, I think as a socio-political icon, puts him on the same platform as Jesse Owens, Jackie Robinson, and Muhammad Ali.
He transcended the game, he touched people's lives, and he probably did more in terms of defining notions of Canada and Canadians to people of both French and English cultures than any politician, any great statesman, any great novelist, any rock star. He was the definitive emblem of Canada.
During Richard's career, a poster hung on the wall of the Montreal locker room in the Forum. A quote from Abraham Lincoln. It read, "I do the very best I know how, the very best I can, and I mean to keep on doing so until the end." In the end, Richard's stature in Quebec approached that of Lincoln himself. He's not the Pope, a team publicity man once said. No, agreed a colleague, he is a god. For Sports Century, I'm Chris Fowler.